Therapist reacts raw. I've actually never seen Bad Moms, but this is the couples therapy scene. So I don't know what I'm in for. I'm just going to give you my real-time thoughts on the matter. Let's do this.
I like to start by saying that every marriage is savable.
Wanda Sykes.
You just need two people who are willing to work at it.
Get right out of the gate. Every marriage is savable if you have two people who are willing to work at it. I actually believe that. But again, how much work is it going to take to save this marriage, and do both parties want it, right? The marriages that won't be saved is because people don't want it. And sometimes they don't want it for justifiable reasons. There's been abuse, there's been an affair, there's been, intense neglect, there's been all sorts of things. And so I'm not saying that every marriage should be saved. And now that I say it out loud, maybe I don't believe that every marriage can be saved. I think in cases of truly abhorrent behavior, it shouldn't even be considered. Really, it comes down to the individuals in the relationship. Is this what you want, right? And are you willing to pay the price to get there? I know a lot of people who say that they want to stay married, but the price of change is too high. It requires too much humility. It requires too much looking in the mirror and not pointing fingers. It requires too much effort to get to where they need to be. And in some cases, that amount of effort means this relationship isn't supposed to make it in the first place. That if I'm going to be with you, I need to do a page one rewrite of who I am, and maybe that's not the best fit. In other cases, it comes down to selfishness. It just does. It comes down to pride. It comes down to ego and vanity.
Work at it, okay? Mike, Amy, I want you to look at each other and say 3 things that you like about each other. Mike.
Can I go second?
Okay, yeah, sure. Amy?
Okay, Mike, I like that you gave me my children. I like that you pick them up from school sometimes. It's actually really helpful. And I like that you came to therapy today.
It's a good start. It's also, if I'm that therapist, I'm like, that you gave me my children is deep and profound. You picked them up from school. Okay, I like that you came to therapy. Like, these are all good things. But she's not saying really anything about his character, anything about who he is. It's indicative right out of the gate that she's grasping at straws a little bit. I mean, the things she said are sincere. But if there were more to Mike, 2 of those 3 things would be much further down the list. You came to therapy and you picked the kids up from school would be further down the list than at the top right now. These are the only things you can think of.
Okay, Mike, your turn.
Okay. I like your spaghetti. And you make pretty good calzone. Was that 3?
That was like 1 and then 1A. You know what? Let's try some role playing.
Okay, so actually I have no comment other than Mike is... I don't know what Mila Kunis' character's name is, but she's at least trying to talk about something that has to do with him. But hers are still pretty surface level, She doesn't have a lot of respect for him. But he's not even really... He may think he's complimenting her on her cooking, but again, shouldn't that be further down the list, I like your kindness, I like your integrity, I like your intelligence, not you make a pretty mean calzone. She's your wife, she's not Papa John's, dig deeper. So now we're going to do some role play.
You know what? Let's try some role playing. All right, Amy, I want you to pretend to be Mike. And Mike, I want you to pretend to be Amy. Okay? And now I just want you to just tell me about your day.
Role play is good for perspective taking, which is something that people generally struggle with, especially when their relationships are having a hard time, is getting into the shoes of the other person, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. Very often we're trapped in what we think and feel, and then we judge the behavior of the other person on a very shallow level of they're just a jerk or they're just selfish, instead of they're hurting or they have goals or they have dreams, or we don't really get into that space. So role plays can be very good. I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is a clip from a comedy film, so the role play is about to go terrible. So let's see what happens.
And now I just want you to just tell me about your day.
Hi, I'm Amy. All I did today was, rub lotion on my face, and talk.
Okay.
Okay, so this does happen in therapy. This is an exaggerated comedy version, but when people imitate the other person's voice and make them sound like an idiot, and I like to do this thing in therapy where I have a box of tissues, and I use a tissue like a flag in football. That if you do something that is condescending or rude or mean, then I throw a flag on the field, right? I do that with the tissue, and it gets people to stop and think about what they're doing, because he's not trying to take his wife's perspective. He's not trying to understand her. He's trying to make her look bad and communicate to her that he doesn't respect her. And that is not an effective use of therapy. It's good that he came to therapy, but now he's just wasting time and money.
Okay. Amy, would you like to?
Yes, I would. Hey, I'm Mike.
She's
My
doing the same
life is
thing.
awesome because my wife takes care of everything in the world for me.
This is the problem. Here's the bottom line. She's a perfectionist.
So they're both very defensive right now. She doesn't like that he imitated her, so she's imitating him back. He went petty and childish, and she met him there instead of staying above it. And then, instead of having the humility to be like, oh yeah, that's what that feels like when you get imitated and made to sound like an idiot, he just launches right into anger. Neither of them really knows or understands how to have a healthy relationship, how to navigate conflict, how to regulate their own arousal, their own frustration, their own anxiety or fear or anger. And so this is just escalating. And right now, the therapist, it seemed like this is the first session, because she's not interrupting this. She's not stopping this pattern. And I would say if this were later in therapy, she needs to interrupt this and stop the pattern. But because this is the first session, what a lot of us do in the first therapy session is we kind of let the conflict play out, because we need to see what it looks like to know what we're dealing with. We need to see how the couple before us handles conflict, handles disagreement, handles fights.
She's a perfectionist. So what's the point of even trying?
How is that a problem?
And she hasn't given me a blowy since my
my
birthday
God.
5 years ago.
Are you
She
fucking
showed her how
kidding me?
cool.
Hold on, 1 second. You want a blowy? Maybe if you cleaned the kitchen, made the kids dinner, cared for someone other than yourself, I would give you so many blowies your fucking dick would explode.
My dick would never explode because it's indestructible.
I'm gonna kill you.
I mean, that's vulgar, but that's really funny. She's... I love that he starts to tear up and say, it's been 5 years since my birthday. She's right, though, that people who pull their weight at home with chores, people who pull their weight when it comes to being a partner and being a spouse, are more sexually attractive, and you're more likely... It shouldn't be transactional. You shouldn't show up and do what you do in your relationship for sexual favors. But it doesn't change the fact that when you are a full partner and fully present and giving your all, that tends to lead to more positive outcomes. And he's just expecting. She's my wife, so this is what she does. And he's not doing a lot to show up for her. So why would she want to do anything for him?
I can't deal with you. I can't look at you. Mike, I don't love you anymore. I'm so sorry, but I just don't. I'm so sick and tired of pretending like I do.
That is exactly how I feel.
Okay. Remember when I said that all marriages are savable? Well, it ain't gonna happen for you guys.
So what do you think we should do?
Well, as a therapist, I'm not allowed to tell you what to do.
Accurate.
But
I
as a
appreciate
human
that.
being with two eyes in my head, yeah, I think you should get divorced as soon as possible. This is catastrophic.
So I can't tell you, I love that the therapist right now, Wanda Sykes' character, she's doing something called matching. And it's a form of joining or bonding with a client, which is if they're excited or angry, you get excited or angry, right? If they use harsh language, you use harsh language. And you'll notice that she starts very calm and very professional, and she's not cursing and she's not being vulgar, and they're matching her for a while until they get into what's really going on, and then we see how they talk to each other at home. And at that point, the therapist connects with them by meeting them there. This is why, as somebody who used to be offended by cursing, that shit doesn't bother me anymore. Because I have therapy sessions like this, and I'm like, okay. When she says, I remember when I said all marriages are savable, but that's not going to happen for you too. The reason it's not going to happen for them is they both just said, I don't love you anymore. And they both basically admitted they don't want to work on their relationship. So what's the point in staying around? Have you ever been to couples therapy? What was it like? Was it like this session? How do you know? What do you think if a relationship is savable or it's time to move on? We'd love to hear your comments below because we all learn from each other. And if you are needing a consultation or a therapy session for your relationship, go to mendedlight.com and schedule with one of our clinical team. There's a link there in the description below for that. Until next time, folks, keep shining because we need your light.